So here we are at the beginning of day number 2 on our 3-day crossing from the Bahamas to Samaná in Dominican Republic. We may make a stop in, I don't know what it's called, one of the main check-in points and wait out a weather window, because the wind is going to shift out of the south, and it may be better to take that southerly down the coast than the nor'easter that we're in right now. So that may create a 6 to 8 hour delay to wait for that shift. I got a little bit of sun, a little bit too much sun on my nose. But anyways, I was just enjoying the morning, watching the sunrise and reflecting on everything that we have in life. It's amazing when you leave everything behind, how much you can find value in, and watching the sunrise and reflecting on all of the dear friends that we've made. Last year it was Jess and Connor and Damon and Miranda and Skylar that we had a wonderful time with, and all sorts of antics and fun and just living life to the fullest up in the Abacos. And then this year it's Brent and Debbie, Sarah, and just really enjoying a lot of our friends, Amanda and Andy, that you run into repeatedly. We ran into Perseverance again, Natasha and Adam and their kids, and that's always a joy to bring youth, young energy back into the game. And so it's been great. The people that we meet are all blessings to us, and it's just one of the things that we cherish. The journey itself is arduous. It is not fun being out on the sea, sitting at the same angle for 48 hours, doing your best to keep your cookies. It's tough, but what makes it worth it is the little treasures that you find along the way. The people that are willing to invest time and information and love into you and into your family, that really make it special. Fishing is awesome. Dinners are awesome. We had a bonfire on the beach with a whole bunch of new friends. Wherever we left from, it was called Atwood Harbor, and it was in the Acklands, just east of Crooked Island. But anyways, sorry, I have to stare at the horizon to not get ill. I cannot stare at the phone. But anyways, it's amazing what life holds, and it's funny to think about all of the venom that we loose on people that we love and people that are close to us. People like my mom, who always get the sharp end of whatever defensive staff I have, and my wife, she's always under attack for whatever the latest goof up is. And it's just sad because there's so much beauty out here, and it's in times of peace that you get to reflect on what matters. And Brent and Debbie reminded me to choose your battles, and that not everything has to be perfect all the time. And it's hard to find grace as a human. We live on this planet that was gifted to us, and it's the ultimate ultimate demonstration of grace and beauty. And it's just interesting to be here, surrounded by this gorgeous blue ocean, the beautiful blue sky and the white clouds, watching the sunrise. And it's puzzling why it's so hard to find grace for people that we love the most. Anyways, that's today's query. That's this morning's rants of a sleep-deprived, exhausted human being that's overwhelmed by God's creation. So, I love you all. Thank you to everybody that's found joy in our videos. We've had a great time making them. We had a problem with our internet cell phone provider, and so we have stopped uploading videos via the cellular network, and we've gotten a lot of feedback from our friends wanting to know why we stopped. The truth is, the videos are easy. You sit down, you say what you're thinking about, you show a couple pretty pictures to help everybody else get to their special place, because we made it to ours. And it's not about bragging, and it's not about showing off. It's about sharing what matters to us with the people that we love. And even total strangers have joined in and have enjoyed several of the videos. Those of you that know us know that there's no production value, there's no ideas of grandeur or monetization. We just post so the people we love can feel a little bit closer to us. Anybody that wants to visit knows what they're getting into. I promise you, it's a lot more tame on your sofa. We watched YouTube videos for, God, 7 years now, and it doesn't prepare you for sleepless nights at the helm, fixing the autopilots, servicing the engine, keeping everything running, while the sea is kicking 4 to 10 feet. Try doing an oil change in your driveway and then do it in an earthquake, and just imagine the difference. And that's how it is out here. The sea goes from peaceful to raging in 30 minutes or less. It lasts for 1 or 2 hours, and then it goes away and it's peaceful again. So anyways, that's the end of my rantings. Thank you for sharing this time with us. We have officially left the Bahamas. We've just left Turks and Caicos, which we will visit on the way back home, or wherever we're going after St. Martin. But we're really looking forward to the Dominican Republic. Luperon, that's where we're checking in. We've got a perfect angle to land in Luperon directly without any stops. The weather's been beautiful. We're pinching, so we're going upwind at about 30 degrees. The most we can go upwind is 28 degrees. So you hear the sails luffing in the background. As the wind angle changes, it makes that kind of thundery sound. Anyways, good morning everybody, and goodbye.
So, we have officially left the Bahamas, and I'm watching sunrise as we make our approach to the Dominican Republic. And Frank told me he filmed like a little wrap-up clip of his thoughts of the Bahamas or whatever, so thoughts of the day and overall the Bahamas. So here's my take. In these videos you only see little glimpses of what we experience. I think I've said it several times, and other sailors have said it, and it's so true, that the highs are higher and the lows are lower when you're living this kind of life, experiencing life on a boat and traveling like we are. And you know, those high highs and those low lows, we don't normally pull the camera out for. So you guys get to see the middle ground for the most part. But there was some amazing experiences throughout the Bahamas. Some unforgettable moments that just weren't caught on film that I'm going to keep with me for my lifetime. And it's an amazing place. The Bahamian people are just, on a whole, a beautiful culture. Very deep rooted in their Christianity beliefs. A lot of them are Baptists, which is kind of fun. I relate. We met some really, really wonderful people there that just are kind and generous. And the King family on Cat Island bringing us to church and just opening up to us and sharing with us their family and baked goods. And then of course the other boaters that we meet along the way. We've made some amazing friends that I hope I'll stay in touch with forever. Amanda and Andy from the motor yacht Yes. That's named Yes because there's too many no's in this world. And their perspective on life is just beautiful. Brent and Debbie on Change of Pace, that taught me about changing my pace. And so many other things. And Maddie and Ella for putting a name to what I've been doing for months, Nature Appreciation Moments, which I'm about to experience as I watch the sunrise over the Dominican. And I'll have to stop this film and start filming that here in a minute so I can capture it. And Sarah, such a beautiful person. You know, and just the experiences we had, you know, just bonfires on beaches with potluck shared meals, and watching sunsets with strangers, talking to strangers. That's one of the most fun things, and I hope I can continue doing that. I think in the Dominican it'll be a little more difficult because a lot of people are going to be speaking Spanish and I'm not fluent in Spanish. But in the Bahamas it was great because you could just literally pick up a conversation with anybody and everybody would talk to you. I have a friend back home named Mickey that she has this little post she puts on Facebook called Talking with Strangers, and she has the funnest experiences talking with strangers in stores or at the YMCA or wherever she happens to be. And I think more people should do that, because if you don't talk to people outside of your little close-knit group, you don't gain life experience from other people. You don't gain other perspectives that you can keep with you and bring with you and learn from. And talking with strangers is amazing. You never know who you're going to meet and who is going to become a lifelong friend and who's going to jump on your boat and go sailing with you. Just from saying hello. How are you today? Where are you from? You know? And when you're traveling like this, it's really easy to do and really easy to meet people from so many different walks of life and so many cultures, and they're all willing to share if you're willing to take the time. So yeah, it's a little bit of my Bahamas experience. A snippet, a middle ground. been beautiful. And something I'll never forget. Alright. I think that's about enough of that. Other than I'm really glad I got to share this with Britt. He's an amazing person. I am so blessed to call him my husband. I love you, Britt. And I love you, friends and family. And on to the next country, the Dominican. Bye. Okay, so final thoughts of the Bahamas. I talked a lot about the people and perspectives on life, but I didn't talk about the nature of it. If you want to explore the color blue, the Bahamas has every shade, I think, imaginable of the color blue, and every color of yellow and orange in the sky between sunrise and sunset. It's breathtaking. The sea life is amazing. The spearfishing is awesome. I think we could survive there just from spearfishing and collecting coconuts quite happily. Yeah. So that's something I didn't include that really should have been included. And I talked about a lot of the highs of the Bahamas with watching the stars at night on the deck of the boat, and sunrises and sunsets, and sharing that with all the people we meet along the way. But the lows are something I didn't really dive into. Living this way and traveling this way is not easy, and there's a lot of lows involved that we don't capture on film.
Like not showering for days because you're on a passage and the boat is moving way too much to lock yourself in a little room.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you end up.
Yeah.
A little bit greasy,
Yeah.
a lot of it shiny.
Yeah.
Not enough wet wipes to keep you human.
For sure, it's extreme camping.
There are beautiful, beautiful vessels out there that cost way more than we could fathom. And they do it in style.
They do it in style.
For those of you that camp and you see the luxury RVs and you wonder if there's any comparison to sailing, no, sailing is tent camping. The luxury RVs are, I would say, motor yachts.
Yeah, motor yachts, for
Yeah,
sure.
endless hot water, all the systems you could
With
imagine.
stabilization.
Yeah, yeah. We were on a fishing boat that had a gyroscope mounted in the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And it spun a weight and hydraulically kept the boat level on a fishing boat, a giant 50-foot fishing boat.
It's insane.
And we thought the sails as stabilizers were fantastic.
Yeah.
Because we can afford it.
Yeah.
But there are much more sophisticated systems out there. Our friends on Change of Pace have hydraulic fins that counteract the water motion. So while their boat is in motion, it can negate a certain amount of roll. And we've not traveled on their boat to be able to test it out, but it sounds amazing.
It does sound amazing. And Debbie's like, oh yeah, we can go through all that and we're good.
Yeah. We did travel with them out of the Acklands, and we could watch them off in the distance while we were doing 3 knots of teeter-totter bashing.
Yeah.
They seemed quite stable.
Yeah, they were rocking it.
Their bow to stern motion was as intense as ours was, but the port to starboard, starboard to port
side
motion
to side.
Seemed quite diminished.
Yeah, pretty
From what
calm.
we could tell.
They looked like they were just having a happy cruise, and
Yeah.
we're like, ah!
They were going 8.5 knots to our 3.5.
To our 3.5.
And finally we got out into open water, and we were able to match their 6.5 But you know, it's not a race, but it's fun to try to keep up with other boats, especially ones out of your class.
Yeah.
So
It's always a race. When there's two boats going in the same direction, whether they know it or not, it's always a little bit of a race.
yeah, we're still learning how to sail, so you know, trimming these stinking rags that are hanging on these poles are just beyond complicated. You know, you're supposed to let them out till they luff and then bring them in a little bit, but there's downhauls and outhauls and boom vangs and twist and lift and
Yeah, to
and
change the shape and curve and
yeah,
tension of every part of them.
yeah, and luff lines and just endless amounts of terminology, and everyone does something to the sail
Yeah.
to make it perform worse. To where last night in 12 knots of wind we were going 1.7 knots of forward motion.
Yeah.
And you know, there's also current involved in that too at some point. So anyways, motor yachts, luxury RVs.
Yeah, pretty much. But
So yeah, the Bahamas was great. I am looking forward to going back. We want to do a best of visit and bring Happy Jack and hit all of our favorite locations. Some of the locations that were tarnished the first year from inexperience, we'd love to revisit and try and do it the right way. This year's been considerably better, and it's been enjoyable. Speaking of those rags, they're singing us a song.
yeah, always begging for our attention.
Yeah. But yeah, that'll be fun to revisit places that we know and love,
Yeah.
and see what it's like the next time around.
Yeah, with a little more experience and a little different perspective to get to enjoy.
A little more boat speed.
A little more boat speed. But yeah, I'm looking forward to revisiting the Bahamas on our way back through. And I'm looking forward and a little nervous about going on to the Dominican and further. Sailing from here on out is going to be a lot more complex, I believe, than sailing in the Bahamas. You know, we got to figure out what sailing in the Bahamas was. We were pretty comfortable with that. We knew what to expect with the tides and currents and shallows and anchoring. It's all pretty much shallow anchoring, which is just lovely. And now we're going to deeper waters with different way to sail, a lot more land effects on the sea state and the wind that we have to work with.
Yeah, for those of you that are wanting to get your training wheels off, the Bahamas is a must-do. It's complicated to cross the Gulf Stream, makes you a little apprehensive. For those of you that don't know, the Gulf Stream is a current that runs up to, let's say, 6 knots north, flowing northbound. And so for a sailboat that only travels 7 knots at its top speed, it's possible to not be able to make eastward progress because the current, if you don't time it correctly and pay attention, can whisk you away faster than you can make forward motion.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're in Bermuda, and your intended destination was Grand Bahamas. So
Yeah.
that's the learning curve. Once you get that portion of the trip done, which is anywhere from 12 to 24 hours to cross, depending on where you go,
Yeah.
the rest of it truly is learning in a relatively safe environment with tons of sailors that are friendly and helpful and have your best interest, and they have a vested interest in making sure that you do it
Yeah.
right, because when you drag or when something goes wrong, you most certainly will hit their boat.
Yeah.
And so everybody wants to contribute to make sure that everybody around them is competent. So yeah, Bahamas is wonderful. Definitely a great place to start your sailing career. We started up north in Grand Bahama to the Abacos. It's all shallow water. It's all very forgiving. We moved our way south, and ultimately we departed from the Acklands. And it is unforgiving. There is no protection. The water gets deep. You have to pay attention to the weather. It changes rapidly, and you cannot just move across the bay. You have to move to the other side of the island. We've seen boats with ground tackle ripped out, surfing on anchor, big boats 2-3 times the size of us, tossed around like toys.
Like toys, yeah, like bath toys.
Because they didn't plan properly. And we're in that too. We just happen to get out in the nick of time.
Yeah.
You have to pay attention the farther south you go.
Yep.
And that's all part of the training aspect of it. Once you get to the Caribbean, you gotta kind of know what you're doing.
Yeah, you definitely need to know what you're doing. So this will be our step into the Caribbean and into that new level of sailing. So, anything else, honey, you can think of?
Bahamas, we had a great time. Thank you for taking care of us. Thank you to the Ministry of Tourism for all of your input, and your offices with flyers and helpful people. Everything, the good experiences and the bad experiences, were all made better by the contribution of the Bahamian government and the Bahamian people. And overall, it was a net positive. The few minor issues that we had and friends of ours experienced were far exceeded by the greatness and the friendliness of the country and the people. So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. We had a wonderful time, and like we said before, we look forward to visiting again.
Yay!